I'm Jake. Now, don't bother asking for my last name, I keep it confidential. See, it's part of the reason I'm telling you this. You can't trace me, not unless you already know who I am. My last name is unique. Trust me, there's not another soul out there with it. I checked. But enough about that. You're here because I've got a story to tell. A story about the day I died. Sounds confusing, right? I promise, it'll make sense in time. I was only 19 when it happened. Far too young to die, right? But the universe doesn't care. It's not waiting for anyone. Life just happens. Up until that point, I was a pretty athletic guy. Never thought I'd be carrying around some secret heart condition, but that's the thing with mitral valve prolapse, it's sneaky. Google it if you want. It hides, it waits, and then it strikes. Some of you might have it and not even know it. It could stop your heart without warning, without any sign at all. 4 years ago today, this very day, my daughter was born. It was also the day I died. Funny how that works, isn't it? At 18, I got a woman pregnant. Didn't know what to do with my life, and I was knee-deep in Adderall addiction. Never dealt with it until that very moment, the moment she was born. I was up for almost 5 days straight when the call came. Time to take her to the hospital. I don't know why she stayed with me, why she didn't leave during that mess of mine. Maybe she thought it would pass. But it didn't. I was long gone before we even left. I took a hit, about 160 milligrams of extended-release Adderall. All in one gulp. Then we left for the hospital. At first, I felt fine. I was just in that fog of someone who hasn't slept in 5 days. You know the drill, hallucinations, voices, shadows moving in the corners of your eyes. But that's nothing compared to what happened next. About an hour and 40 minutes into our stay, while she was in labor, I felt it. A wave of euphoria, so intense it ripped me out of my body. I couldn't feel anything. My muscles stopped obeying me. My eyes? My eyes were doing things they shouldn't, I guess. According to my family, it looked like I was having a seizure. And then, that's when my heart stopped. What happened next, it's not easy to describe. I died. Right there in that hospital room. After I died, I went somewhere. Somewhere dark. Somewhere painful. I can't explain it well, but time doesn't exist once you die. The next moments felt like days. The first thing I remember, drowning. But not in water, no. I was drowning in a sea of blackness. Imagine being at the bottom of an endless ocean, but there's no water. Just pure, infinite darkness pressing down on you, crushing everything you are. It felt like all the weight of the universe was pushing me into nothing. I was nothing. No body, no mind, no spirit. But I could still feel everything. The pressure. The crushing force. And something more. It's hard to put into words what I felt next. The pain, it wasn't like anything real. It wasn't the kind of pain you experience when you're alive. It was indescribable. Like something deep inside you was being shredded apart. I couldn't think, couldn't speak. But I could feel every inch of it. Imagine this, a vice perfectly fitting around your body, crushing you down with the weight of the entire world. But I didn't squish. I stayed there, trapped, locked in a state of agony, unable to escape. How long? I don't know. Time didn't exist there. Was I in hell? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But then something else happened. My head was forced forward by an unseen force, like something, or someone, was guiding my gaze. I looked straight ahead, and that's when I saw it. A figure. The pain didn't stop. The crushing weight didn't ease. The blackness, it wasn't just dark, it was like a liquid, an endless fluid pressing down on me. And yet, through all of that, this figure walked toward me. I couldn't look away. I couldn't blink. I couldn't even try to think about anything besides the pain and that figure, drawing closer and closer. It wasn't until it was almost upon me that I realized I was dead. I couldn't look away from its face, no matter how much I wanted to. Whatever was controlling my body, manipulating me, wouldn't let me move my gaze. All I could do was endure. And the figure, it was massive. At first, I thought it was closer, but no. It was huge, far larger than I could comprehend. It got bigger the closer it came, until it was so close, I could feel its presence in my very soul. I begged it, pleaded with it. Please, I cried, please, help me. It hurts. What are you? But it didn't respond. It just kept walking toward me, its eyes never leaving mine. What did it look like? The body was human-shaped, but that's where the resemblance ended. It was tall, far taller than any human, and thin. Sickly thin, its form almost unnatural. Its skin, if you could even call it that, was completely white. And its face, it had no features, just two deep, black voids where eyes should have been. I can't describe it. You have to understand, its eyes were nothing like anything you've ever seen. They were black holes, like pits that could consume the entire world. And in those eyes, hunger. An endless, insatiable hunger. And when it looked at me, I felt it. Like its gaze was tearing at my very soul, pulling at me. I thought I was going to lose myself, lose my grip on reality. It came closer. A mere few feet now, and then it stopped. It didn't speak. It didn't need to. Its presence, its hunger, it was all-consuming. I couldn't look away. I couldn't escape its gaze. And then, for the first time, I realized something. It wasn't going to help me. It was the one causing all this pain. I was trapped in it, and there was no way out. I screamed. I cried. I begged. I wanted to be free from the agony, from the weight of its eyes. But all it did was watch me, its hunger gnawing at me. And then, it spoke. 1,000 voices. All at once. It was deafening, like nothing I'd ever heard before. Louder than any sound I could imagine. I am all, it boomed. Why am I here? I screamed. Who are you? It didn't respond immediately. Instead, that voice, those 1,000 voices, just echoed inside my head, shaking me to my core. I weigh all, it boomed. I made you. You will return to me in time. And once again be, not. I didn't understand. I couldn't understand. It wasn't making sense. I screamed again, desperate. What do you want from me? Where am I? Where are we going? Where did I come from, and where will I return to? The voice didn't answer. Instead, it said, now is not your time. And then, silence. The crushing weight. The darkness. Everything stopped. The ocean of pressure that had been consuming me was gone. The blackness that had once surrounded me receded, like it was fading into the back of my eyelids. And in that instant, something smashed into my chest. I took a breath. I opened my eyes. I've never felt relief like that in my entire life. I couldn't move much at first. But I wanted to. I wanted to sit up, to hug the man standing above me, holding a defibrillator in his hands. The wires were still attached to my chest. He's back, the man shouted. There were people all around me. Doctors in scrubs. A few bystanders. I was still in the OB room, the one where my girlfriend had been having contractions, right before I died. Most of what I remember from this point is just delirium. I rambled. I mumbled about what had happened to me, about where I'd gone, but nobody seemed to understand. Nothing made sense. I felt like I wasn't even connected to my own body. Like my brain had become untethered from everything else. They laid me in a hospital bed, hooked me up to monitoring devices, and not long after, I blacked out again. When I came to, the doctor explained it to me. Your heart stopped for approximately 27 seconds, he said. If it had been any longer, 43 more seconds, you would have been a vegetable. A vegetable. It hit me hard. The doctor continued, telling me that during the monitoring, they discovered I had mitral valve prolapse. It's a heart condition, where a valve doesn't close properly, causing too much blood to enter the heart. That can cause extra beats, skipped beats, or worse, a heart attack. The worst part? I had no idea I had it until it almost killed me. The doctor said I was lucky. Lucky it happened in the hospital. Because if it had happened anywhere else, I wouldn't be here. I would have stayed dead. And maybe I'd still be with that thing. That thing. Whatever it was. The idea made my skin crawl. They wouldn't let me go see my girlfriend, not right away. I was still disoriented, still in a state of psychosis from the Adderall. I didn't even have the motor skills to walk properly. And my daughter? She'd already been born by the time I came to my senses. My girlfriend had gone through it all without me. I don't remember much after that. Everything's a blur. But that memory of what happened when I died, it never leaves me. It haunts me. Every day. I dream about it. I've been awake for at least a couple of nights now, haunted by what happened. The thought of dying, it terrifies me. If that's really what comes after, I can't imagine anything worse. I have to find a way to live forever, because no one should ever have to endure what I did. No one. I was a good person, or at least I tried to be. Sure, I had my flaws, especially the substance abuse, but I don't think I deserved what happened. But maybe that's what happens to everyone after they die. Maybe everyone faces that same thing. I've tried explaining to my family, my friends, and even my girlfriend, but they just say it was all part of the psychosis. A fluke. A really vivid dream, they say. But I can tell you with every fiber of my being, it was no dream. I felt every minute of it. Every second. It felt like hours, days even. I can still remember every single moment, like it's seared into my mind. And because of that, I will never be the same. I'm afraid to leave the house now. Afraid of dying out there, on the road, or in one of the countless other ways a person can die. It's a constant fear that I carry with me. I religiously take my prescribed heart medication, fearing death around every corner. I live my life now by a set of rules that will keep me alive, no matter the cost. My girlfriend? She's only still with me because of our daughter. She thinks I've lost my mind. That I'm a lunatic. We're both miserable. But no matter how much I try to move on, I can't escape that day, the day I found out what happens when we die.